Welcome back to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Glad to have you here. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the Waymo movement. Special shout out to the Waymo crew. And speaking of the Waymo crew, I have a guest here today that's a part of the Waymo crew. She's been a supporter since day one, supporting the Waymo movement, the What Are You Made Of movement. And by the way, let's remind everyone, the dominating rule of Waymo rule number one is to turn all setbacks, letdowns, anything that appears negative converted into rocket fuel for your future. And once you get this in your head and you can become aware of this rule, your life will never be the same. You'll be able to handle things way better, way mo better, and produce way mo. So that's the dominating rule. And my guest today, Samantha Roberts, is a corporate analyst for a global makeup company, makeup brand. And I met her through the Grant Cardone 10X mentorship program from back in November, I believe, or October when we started. And she is a totally different person from when we first met. And I'm going to let her get into her story and tell us what she's made of. But I just want to share what drew me to mentoring her and helping guide her, providing value to her was I watched the transformation, and I see this numerous times. For people that work with me in our organization, from people that are in a certain situation, whether it's physical, mental, psychological, whatever it is. And then what happens is they start stacking victories, little accomplishments. And it's a confidence builder. Slowly but surely, you build up. And then when you get to different levels, you start to become a different person. And it can also go in the wrong way as well. But this what I see is these positive increased confidence boosters. Win. And then all of a sudden, the person's transformed into a totally different person. And so what I've sat and watched since October or November, Sam turning into a totally different person. And I think she feels it as well. I'll let her speak to that. But Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much. And thanks for being such a supporter over this transformation in my life. It's really meant a lot to me to have so many people show me what I couldn't see for myself. Over the years, I've had so many people tell me that there's this light inside me and this mission that needs to come out. And I've just really had a hard time getting out of my own way through, physical hardship and different things in this deep, dark hole I kind of built for myself. And it's just been incredible how so many of the 10X fam have come up around me and just shown me light when I knew it was there, but I just couldn't access it. So I just got to thank you, Mikey, for giving me that support and just pulling it out of me and just continuing to show me what opportunity I really have to share something with this world. So I appreciate you so much for that, and so much of our 10X family for just being there for me. My kind of transformation into the deep, dark depths of hell started about 10, 12 years ago.
No, hold on. I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
Because I got to say, Sam, what are you made of? I didn't say that yet. I got to make it official. Sam, what are you made of?
Thanks for that. Yeah. So for me, it really started about 10, 12 years ago. I had a car accident followed by a quad accident, flipped one down a rock quarry. So my 110-pound body got smashed by a 450-pound quad 4 times after, a heavy, hard weekend of just going after the darn thing for all the adrenaline in the world I could get. And I ended up really damaging my body from that. And it just sent me into a time in my life where I was mute, where I wasn't reaching out to friends, family, just really struggling physically and reverting into the shadow of a self. And I couldn't seem to get myself out of it. And the thing I decided to focus on was a career, right? And just like build my career as much as I could. But over recent years, 10 years in New York, I just kind of was sitting in crowds, but not engaging in them, and only focusing on my career and giving 10% of myself to the rest of the world. And it really started to wear me down. My body just started to deteriorate more than I could really contend with. And then when you met me last October, it was when I finally found a team of specialists here in New York that put me in the right surgical rooms to get me the right surgeries, to get me the right rehab, to really hone in on what exactly had been ailing me. It wasn't just simple spinal compression and nerve compression. from these accidents, it aggravated basically a complication from birth, which is hypermobility syndrome and hyperelasticity in all of my muscle joints, small ligaments. So needless to say, that takes you to a pretty limiting space. And with as smart as I was, my brain functioning as sharp as it was, my body was at 10%, which meant my soul was at 10%. And I just could not get myself out of it. And I joined up with the movement and with mentorship and with coaching and guidance. And it was just about, this entire community lifting me up, being a part of something that was bigger than myself, and seeing so many ambitious human beings across our country and around the world showing up with integrity every day. Every single one of us had a story. Everybody had something they needed to say and do and give to others. And I felt this sense of service just really come to life for me. And that sense of service meant that I had to get out of my own way, had to show up. And in recent weeks and months, because I'm looking at the world from former mute to now someone who's got this mission and this zest and this vibrance and this drive to help others, I've been slowly helping other people find their voice as well, helping, just have them go live, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, and allow them this support that they know that their story and their mission matters as well. And I gotta tell you, it's just lifted me out of my own way, and there's no going back.
That's awesome. I love it. I get chills. Here's the thing though. I want to go into the mute part of it. So explain what you mean by that, because here's the thing. So I always talk about people need to share their stories. Yeah. I got people right now trying to quiet me. And I do a very good job of not bringing up any names of anything, and just sharing my story and my version of what, like, I remember it from like 8 to 11-year-old kid. And but there's a lot of people that don't do what I do because they're scared of the ramifications. They're scared of people trying to quiet them or what they're going to say or all these things. So people in that fashion are figuratively mute, right? But you're talking more about, you just didn't talk at all.
I didn't. Yeah,
even at
absolutely.
work.
So I kind of transitioned work and school into the online platform where, email was sufficient. I was doing work remotely from home. This is back in 2006, 2007, 8 and 9. And during that time, if I spoke for 30 minutes a day, that was a big day for me. And because I did that for 2 years, and that really came out of just the shock to my system from being, the physical friend who could run and joke and laugh and just be the center of attention, not even of attention, right? In the middle of all the physical jokes and laughter and everything, to this deep, dark hole where I couldn't pull myself out of it. And I just felt like there was a cloud around me. My eyes, instead of being this bright, shiny, look, were just dark. And I was constantly said that, resting bitch face from coworkers and things like that. Like, there was just this darkness to me.
So how long did you go through that?
3 years. I was mostly bedridden and working and going to school from the computer at the time. So I was in bed and barely talking at all. Technology was becoming so impactful at the time that I could do everything through that laptop, and it sat on my lap. Where
were friends and things?
I was definitely pushing them away. I was creating this world where it was like, instead of inviting them over, I was finding ways to just once a month, maybe, like I'll pull enough energy together for once a month, maybe get together. And then other than that, it was just kind of like alone by myself,
But nobody got into like asking you like, what's going on, or you're different or anything like that, really?
No, it was kind of, there was just this independence in my life, and where I was, 18, 19, 21 years old, where there weren't a lot of people around me who could get me to do something different than what I said I was going to do. I've always kind of been super independent. If you go back into the very deep depths of my childhood, I was an adult at 4 years old. There was some pretty terrible family stuff that happened, and I was definitely talked to, treated, and represented in my family like an adult at 4 years old. And so I had a very firm idea of who Sam Roberts was and what she was capable of doing. And so if I decided that I was going to do things my way after this accident, there was nobody who was going to tell me otherwise. And that became a crutch and a problem, right? Because it's like, if everybody knows Sam as being so strong, how could anybody get me to soften if I was going to be that rigid with myself? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah. Now,
I'm sure looking back, they tried, but I wasn't hearing it.
Now, how since we've gotten through these mentor calls and all that, and you've changed like totally different from what I initially saw you as, how's the social scene in life now? Like as far as besides just the mentor group, but outside of that, old friends, new friends.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So I have not been a phone person at all for the last decade, and I'm actively picking up a phone, texting people, getting on video calls with them. You know, my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and I literally for 14 hours that day was on video calls, talking, engaging, you know, using my voice on a regular basis at this point. That took some training in recent months since my surgeries, where, you know, getting some scuba gear and swimming every day in the pool to strengthen my lungs, because when you're mute for so many years, even if you try and start talking again, it takes therapy to get your vocal cords strong enough to actually keep up.
And now we can't shut you up.
It's so
I'm
true.
just kidding with you. I'm just kidding with you. I love it.
No, it's so true. Like to know that this human being was in there and just I purposely was in my own way, keeping her silent, breaks my heart. It makes me so aware of the fact that like I was limiting myself of my own volition, you know, and now I have, you know, I have to really make sure that I'm showing up, because, you know, there's a mission in here, and so many, you know, friends have really helped me realize that glimmer of hope isn't just, you know, once in a while. There's a constant there. There's this growing amplitude. And, you know, I remember my mentor when I was 18, 19 years old, it was before the accidents, and then following, he really supported me for the next 6 years, which is how I was able to work from home, as I had someone who understood me prior to the accidents, prior to the limitations. And he gave me a Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink. You know, and if you know that book, you know it's because somebody sees something in you, and you've got that spark that cannot be limited. And he saw it, and he knew that there was a trajectory for me. And he knew that even though I came from a blue collar small town in Oregon with 8,500 people, he had a mission for me, and he was going to help me realize that. Awesome. And then my accidents happened and things just got dark. But right. So I still had that support.
Now the things are light. Now, as we're going through the quarantine situation, you're kind of used to working from home. So how's that affected you, not being able to go to the office or work, or do you work from home most of the time anyway?
We normally do work in the office, and we have almost a zero policy to work from home traditionally. During this quarantine, I have been working from home. I have been laser focused. I've got my team hyped up and laser focused. We do daily calls. You know, I'm bringing them energy. I'm bringing them life. I'm telling them exactly how we're strategically going to look at business differently. For me, I'm in my happy place. I know it's hard for a lot of people. I know it's a tough transition for a lot of teams. I have been building my team in preparation for this level of flexibility. So we were ramped up and ready. When I started with this company 18 months ago, I had a mission, and I knew how I wanted to build my team and develop us in order to just have futuristic agility.
Right. And
so I feel like we were ready when this happened.
And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
33, just
33. Yep, that's right. Just had birthday. I didn't know how old you were though, but all right. So 33, and what the company that you work for right now, we had talked a lot about how that company could change with everything that's going on, and the benefits that they could really attack or not the benefits, but the opportunities they could really attack right now, and also to really start to cater to millennials. See, one thing at the company that I work at in the mortgage business, Nations, we cater to the millennials, and we've been on this mission for a while now, knowing that the home buyers coming up will be millennials. and how can we shift our business, pivot to be able to really focus on that target market and help them. So talk a little bit about that and that idea of kind of maybe shifting a little bit to focus more on how the millennials do business nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think my area of expertise has become storytelling by the numbers, right? Like what is your customer actually after? What are their wants, their needs, their, not just the old school demographics, not just their income, not just their regional location, but what is it that they crave, love, need, and how do you get that quantifiably from your sales analytics, your data sets? And so from like an opportunity perspective, we've really started looking at, what products are they attracted to? And from your landscape, if you're really going after the millennial, the conversation's going to change, right? When you're looking at one subset of who were the home buyers before versus, this future look at the millennials, you've got to have a different conversation. You can now do the entire loan process through a cell phone and a quick phone call. Everything can be signed and actualized that way. And speed to market is where you can really win nowadays, right? It's not a 7-day process. I remember when I was still in Oregon before I came to New York, they had already turned on everything from a cell phone process, but it still was a 10-day process, right? Now you've got loans where you can flip them on in 24 hours and check your credit instantaneously and run through the entire process that way. But I think the way, the ability to attract a new, not only just a transaction from this new clientele base, but the storytelling and the support, right? We're so much more of an interconnected grouping of the population. It's about storytelling. It's about coming on a journey with us. It's about, we know that we don't stay in the job for 30 years. You're not going to see that in this generation. You're not going to have the same history in a job line in this generation. You're going to have more agility in absolutely every facet of our lives. And therefore, the loan process shouldn't be about a one-time 30-year loan. Maybe it's working more on the agility of how can I flip you again in 10 years, if even that long, right? It's going to be about that agility and pushing it forward.
Yeah, just servicing them. It's instead of having that one transaction, it's how can we service them the rest of their life for whatever they need, even if they're not going to do another loan. Just say they have their same loan, and we could just answer questions for them how to better handle their finances with their mortgage or different things that they can do. But not only that, referral business.
Yes.
It's you like right now we had a huge month, right? And it's not just about the huge month that we had. It's the fact that all these people now are in our ecosystem to be able to help them the rest of their life and their families, friends, coworkers, and anybody they know. So it's just spread out, and we have to take advantage of that, because not necessarily just for finances and money for us. It's about how many people can you inspire and help and bring value to. And then the money takes care of itself. This
generation is about service, for sure.
Yeah.
Community, I would say it's about community and it's about service. Everything is interconnected. And if you think about this generation, it's about being a global citizen. It's about being present. It's about, being agile and being awake and being aware. And exactly as you pointed out, it's not a one size fits all. We need agility. We need things to change and come with us and grow with us. We're making more money in our careers than you used to be able to get, right? You don't stay in the same job for 5 years and only get 3% a year. You leave every 3 and you get an additional 20. You need your financial institutions growing with you in that way, right? Every 3 to 5 years, we're doing something different and we're doing something big.
Yep.
And if everybody starts looking at our finances in that way, then you're onto something.
Right on. Exactly. So in the makeup world, and with the social distancing, and a lot of times in the makeup world, they have artists, right? You have artists that do people's faces, and I guess that's all they do, right? Their faces. But I'm not a makeup guy. I did get a faciel rectly, and I have been using the
and it changed your life. I do remember this story.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I'm using, what's the thing called I'm using? Help me out here.
Exfoliation.
Retinol.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but I just put it here, a little bit here, and I've just followed the directions. But I mean, that's all I do. I don't mess with the eyeliner and stuff yet. Maybe later on, once I get on a TV show or something, I'll be, using some foundation or something. I don't know. But my original point I was trying to get at is right now with the social distancing and the artists not being able to necessarily be close to people.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing to kind of stay doing what they do?
Yeah, it's definitely about social media engagement, going live, showing their artistry from afar. And what we're implementing is a no-touch service. So it used to be that you came to an artist so that they could take you, envelop you in their mastery, and transform you, and you walk out a completely different being and an optimized version of yourself. And now it's about teaching, like perfecting what she's already taught herself, I think is how I would say it, right?
I like that.
It's perfecting what she's already taught herself, because our generation can go online and find out the best skill set that they want for themselves. They can find out exactly how to play with their skin texture, their skin tone. They can follow every master on the planet and get exactly what they want. So now this new transition after COVID-19 will be, how do we perfect what you've already taught yourself, and how do we level up what you're already doing, right? So have the clientele personally do the brush strokes on themselves with an artist watching over them and perfecting each stroke, teaching them how to blend, teaching them what color is perfect for their complexion. Giving them the education of color is a great way to start, right? To be able to say, this color matches this mood and it exudes this level in your personality. It's teaching them the theory that maybe they can't just get immediately or instantaneously through technique and learning through techniques, right? So I think we're really embracing, how do you really go into making that person special in their own light, right? I had a conversation recently with another entrepreneur who wanted to know a little bit more about customization, right? Customization in product launches, and how everything is now, not one size fits all. It goes back to that phrase again, right?
Yep.
And how can we have customization across the entire exploration of products and launches nowadays, right? It's all about one-off customization, not just in the product, but also in the experience.
Right. So now let me ask you this. So when they're doing the live Facebook live or video lives, they're working on themselves on it a lot of times, the artists, and showing and explaining what they're doing. And then do they also do one-on-one calls? And then they'll sit there, like you're saying, and they tell the person what to do?
Yeah. So like a master artist will bring someone on as a guest, and that person will have all of their products in front of them, and that artist will show them, again, this is digitally, this is through video. Okay, use your brush in this technique, in this way, dip the color in this way, apply it with this angle of the tip of the brush, and it's going to lay in a different way. Apply this other product to your shadow, and it's going to brighten and highlight in a different way. So we're learning how to coach and mentor rather than do the artistry ourselves, but it's through the mastery of technique and career that we're even in a place to do so.
Right.
Because it's one thing to just do it, and it's another thing to teach. Teach is so special.
It's different, like the player and the coach, right?
Yeah.
It's the difference in sports and in everything else. So let me ask you this: when this came about, and everybody has to be quarantined now,
Mm-hmm.
and in the business, so without getting specific and getting yourself into anything that you're not supposed to be talking about necessarily, but like, what is the thought that went through your head? I know, but just I want you to share with the audience as you're going through this, and then as the company is about to, just like a lot of companies right now are having to pivot, they're having to figure things out, reassess things, maybe change up their whole model. Some people are going out of business. What's the first things that started running through your head, and then how did you cope, one, and then how did you, I guess, kind of reset and start hammering back at work to focus on what you needed to accomplish?
I personally felt that we weren't quite prepared for this transition and the agility that would be required. We have been making massive strides in transitioning the way we look at our business, the way we operate in our business. But 80% of our business was physical locations. And so when you're not diversified in the online market at $1 billion valuation, it is never going to be easy to flip a 180 on the drop of a hat, as this situation has put us all in. So have we done everything we could to transfer online? Probably not. There's smaller brands with more agility who have been able to turn it on a little bit faster. When you're as big as we are, it's very challenging to implement anything with speed. My biggest hope is that every single one of our 6,000 artists across North America have the opportunity to become an individual salesman in charge of their own destiny through the online platform, and have the ability to sell, to all of their friends and family with as much gusto and love that they've always had for the brand, but now they're limitless opportunity. That's my hope and dream. That's my vision for what we could be doing. We are not there yet. I think we've started to lean into social media in a much more profound way than we had before. We're more open to, being vulnerable online, going live online. We're trying to find a hashtag that will work for us. But also authentic messaging, right? Because we know that our girl right now, she wants authentic messaging. She doesn't want to see anything corporatized. She doesn't want to see us pushing an agenda of any kind. So we have to really, be careful and make sure that we're being authentic, be sure that we're, giving and being of service, and not just chasing the mighty dollar, right? Because she cares.
Yeah. Two things I liked. You said limitless. I like that. And we talked about that before. Like, why handcuff your production staff? That's unbelievable. Like that should never happen. And matter of fact, we believe in all of our employees being able to produce revenue for the company. It's changed our whole business model. And, that's one thing. The other thing I was thinking about was, millennials want to work with companies that are service oriented, not just to them, but to community and causes.
Yes.
And that's a big thing as well, something to think about as well. Like they'll pick a company to work with besides just the product, by the company that services their causes that they like.
Yes.
And
so
that's a big deal.
We are actually a major advocate for one cause in American history. We've raised over $500,000. No, $500 million, $500 million for one cause. And now in this new phase of our business, we will be taking that product line and giving 100% of the proceeds to COVID-19 research and agility there. So we're trying to stay current, relevant to our consumer base, and making sure that we're supporting her, what she's after, and doing it through the authentic space that we already held. We already were the biggest advocate for one area of global need. And so now we really want to make sure that we're present and on the front lines of this new era.
And making sure people know about it, right? I mean, it's got to be known. Like, just like the 10X and grants thing about, not being known and people forgetting about you. If you're doing something, it's not to just say that, hey, we're donating this much money and to brag about it. It's to tell people what you're doing to inspire others to do the same thing. Yeah. Right. And so you have to figure out a way to get that message out and get it out consistently and frequently, to help get other people either to buy the product because they want to, because that helps support the cause, or just contribute to the cause themselves. Right.
Yeah.
So, so let me ask you a question. So the listeners, how can they connect with you? What's the best way to connect with you, and how can they support you in any way?
The best way to connect would be on Instagram, Miss Salynn Roberts, MSSALYNN Roberts. And just any way that I can be of service to anybody who's looking to find agility in their business right now with storytelling by the numbers is really what I'm after, right? And being of service in that way right now. I'm taking my analytical mind to just help small businesses in their time of need to find that nugget that's actually the opportunity in the new landscape, because that is what brings me joy. Going from from someone who's incredibly analytical, but also very creative and heartfelt. It gives me the most joy in the world to help people find the nugget that will bring them millions of dollars. I've been doing that throughout my entire career in New York City. And nothing brings me more joy than helping people tell their story through the numbers. And I just, any way that I can, one-on-one, Calendly, hit me up. We can have a chat with anybody. Just if you've got an opportunity in your numbers, if you think you might have a little trend you're not fully pushing hard enough on, I'd love to help you find it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sam. And I appreciate the support of the Waymo movement that you've been with, in regards to that. And also I want to just send, go ahead.
And the teens.
Oh, by the way, yeah, Waymo Teens. Yeah.
So excited to hear what you're doing with the teens. It's so needed and necessary right now to give them a platform, to give them the skills while they're home and doing their thing. They've got this new viewpoint, and I'm so appreciative to you for that, for being the leader in that space, for giving that generation an opportunity to come together with structure, and your incredible entrepreneurial mind leading that. I mean, bless you, C-Roc. That's
Thank
incredible.
you. And you want, in case you're trying to figure out what she's talking about, Waymo Teens is a new program we started with the Zoom call on Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can go to, waymocrew.com/teen. That's Waymo Crew, WAYMO Crew, CREW.com/teen, just EENTEN. And they can register there. You'll get updates for the teens. And we talk about things like limitless mindset, goal setting, financial literacy for kids, so the way they can understand it so that they get started properly when they get money in their hands, what to do with it, how to handle it, what's the right way to do it. Money's not a bad thing. And then also we're going to work with them on communication. We're going to work with them on leadership. We got so many things in the plans. And by the way, I just started the idea with my son, who's 13 last week. He came up with a good idea and I was like, yeah, let's run with this, man. He wants to take over the thing and run it himself. But I got to get him some more training before he can do that. But he's involved with the calls, and, I'm going to have some speakers on there as well. And I'm excited about that. And thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. Such a worthy cause.
And by the way, you're in New York. I want to just send a shout out, thoughts and prayers with all those in New York City going through this tough time right now. We're thinking about you guys and everywhere else in the country and world that's affected by this. Who would have thought that it would have been like this grand of a scale? But let me tell you something. I know we're going to lose some people, and we have lost some people, and my heart's out to them. But as a country, anything bad happens, remember Waymo rule number 1. We got to understand that we have to convert everything that we're going through here into positive energy for our future. And I believe that as Americans, and even as the world, sometimes we get caught up in just talking about America, and America's great in this country. It is. But as a world, we are a very, very resilient world. We're even more resilient country. And I really believe that we're going to come out of this stronger than ever. We're going to fire out of this, despite what you may be hearing on the news, despite what you may be hearing from other naysayers. I believe, and I need you to believe, that we're going to come out of this stronger than ever, like a rocket. And so that's my hope. That's my vision. That's what we're going to do. I'm intentional about that. And if you're part of the Waymo movement, the What Are You Made Of movement, that should be your intention as well. So Sam, thanks again. Guys, if you like the podcast, please share with your friends and family, coworkers. Go subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and the YouTube channel. You can actually watch on my YouTube channel at Mike C-Roc Ciorrocco. And also follow me on the Instagram, which is somehow blowing up, but it's at Mikey C-Roc with no K, at Mikey C-Roc with no K. And until next time, it's your boy C-Roc, wishing you all well. And I'm glad, Sam, you're healthy, and stay in that house and make sure that you stay healthy up there. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.